The film begins millions of years ago on Earth, where a fierce battle erupts between a group of Power Rangers tasked with protecting the planet and their formidable enemy. Unfortunately, all the Power Rangers are killed in the battle, leaving only their leader, Gordon, who wears the red armor. In a moment of desperation, Gordon gathers the energy stones from his fallen comrades and hides them in a deep pit, hoping that one day they will be found by those worthy enough to save the planet from their enemy, Rita. It is then revealed that Rita was once a Power Ranger herself, but betrayed her team in her pursuit of the Energy Crystal, a powerful artifact that grants absolute power, enabling her to control the entire universe. As Gordon nears death, he warns Rita that she will meet the same fate. At that moment, a massive meteor crashes into the area, killing Gordon, while Rita is thrown into the air and plunges into the depths of the ocean, where she loses the green energy gem that grants her power. Millions of years later, the story shifts to the present day, where we meet Jason, a high school student. Jason is seen with a friend attempting to steal a cow and place it in the locker room of a rival football team. However, the police quickly discover their prank, and Jason tries to escape in his car, only to crash and be arrested. 3 weeks later, Jason is seen with his father, who drives him to school on a weekend. It is revealed that Jason is under probation, wearing a police-issued ankle monitor, and is required to attend rehabilitation sessions for troubled students. His father is visibly frustrated with him, reprimanding him for his reckless behavior. Jason was once a star football player, and many had high hopes for his future, but he squandered his opportunities due to his reckless actions. Jason, however, seems indifferent to his father's words, prompting his father to end the conversation and let him out of the car. As Jason enters the school, he notices a student named Billy, who has autism, sitting quietly and coloring. Another student, Colt, starts bullying Billy by breaking his colored pencils, while Billy is unable to defend himself. Jason intervenes, striking Colt and warning him not to do it again. Meanwhile, a girl named Kim leaves class and heads to the restroom, where she encounters 2 former friends. They abruptly cut ties with her, blaming her for attacking one of their boyfriends and breaking his teeth after he harassed her. Despite their accusations, Kim remains unfazed, believing she did nothing wrong. At the end of the school day, Billy approaches Jason to thank him for his help and offers to be friends. He also invites Jason to go out with him that night. Jason declines, explaining that he is under house arrest and cannot leave after 7 p.m. due to the police tracker on his ankle. Billy then reveals that he is skilled in hacking and can disable the tracker, making it appear as though Jason is still at home. Later that evening, Jason overhears his father talking about him, calling him a failure who does not care about his future. Upset by his father's words, Jason checks the time and, realizing it is almost 7 p.m., rushes to Billy's house on his bike. Billy successfully reprograms the tracking device, allowing Jason to leave undetected. Excited, Jason thanks Billy, and together they drive to an isolated area on the outskirts of the city. Upon arrival, Jason realizes they are at an abandoned gold mine, where Billy plans to detonate part of the site in search of gold. Jason refuses to help, fearing they might get into trouble, and decides to leave. However, he notices Kim jumping off a cliff into the water below. When she takes longer than expected to resurface, he jumps in after her, only to find that she has already emerged from another exit. At that moment, Billy detonates a section of the mine, drawing the attention of a young man named Zach, who scolds him for his reckless actions. Meanwhile, a girl named Trina stands atop the cliff, warning them to leave before the mine guards arrive. Suddenly, part of the mountain collapses, but they all manage to escape unharmed. In the aftermath, they discover a hidden crystal wall embedded within the rocks, containing the energy stones. Zach breaks through the wall, and each of them obtains an energy stone in their own unique color. Before they can process what has happened, they hear the sound of police cars approaching. Jason and Billy quickly jump into their car and drive off. While escaping, Jason spots Kim and Trina running, so he opens the door and pulls them inside. Zach then leaps from a high hill onto the car's roof, and Jason manages to pull him in at the last moment. Billy speeds away to evade the police, but they find themselves on a collision course with an oncoming train. The others urge him to accelerate and cross the tracks before the train arrives, but he fails. The train crashes into their car, flipping it over. Meanwhile, out in the ocean, a fishing boat is at work. The fishermen haul in a net full of fish, but as they open it, they are shocked to find a mummy among the catch. They place it in the ice with the fish and decide to report it to the authorities. The next morning, Jason wakes up in his room, startled to find himself unharmed. His confusion deepens when he discovers the red energy stone still in his pocket. When he enters the bathroom, he feels an overwhelming surge of strength, so much so that he accidentally shatters the sink just by leaning on it. At the same time, Kim wakes up in her room, unaware of what has happened to her. As she picks up her phone, she is shocked to find it shattered in her hands. Billy also wakes up, thinking it was all just a dream. However, when he opens his closet, the door comes off in his hands, making him realize something strange is happening. Upon arriving at school, Billy is confronted by Colt, who grabs his hand, trying to twist it. To Colt's surprise, he is unable to move it at all. Growing frustrated, Colt punches Billy hard, but Billy remains unscathed, while Colt is knocked to the ground, unconscious. The other students are stunned by Billy's newfound strength, and for the first time, he feels happy after being overlooked and isolated for so long. Meanwhile, Jason arrives at school and meets Kim. They discuss the strange things that have happened to them and are bewildered by how they survived the car crash without a single injury. They decide to meet Billy and talk to him at the school cafeteria, but none of them have an explanation for what's happening. To their amazement, each of them still possesses an energy stone. Suddenly, a massive surge of power emanates from the stones, raising the temperature and causing objects in the cafeteria to explode. Realizing they need answers, they decide to return to the mine where they first found the stones. At the same time, a police officer arrives at the fishing boat and approaches the mummy the fisherman discovered. As he examines it, he quickly calls in a report to the police station. But before he can react, a green light radiates from the mummy, and it suddenly attacks and kills him. It is then revealed that this mummy is none other than Rita, the former Power Ranger who was cast into the ocean by Gordon millions of years ago. The scene shifts back to Jason and his friends, who arrive at the mountain where the mine is located. There, they find Zach, who excitedly tells them that he now possesses superhuman strength, just like they do. As they talk, they notice Trina climbing the mountain at an astonishing speed. They quickly rush after her, managing to climb to the top, where they find her standing at the edge of the cliff. Suddenly, Trina leaps from the high cliff between two mountains. This excites the others, and they all jump after her, except for Billy, who hesitates, overcome with fear. They encourage him until he finally jumps, barely making it across. Overjoyed by his newfound strength, Billy starts dancing in excitement, but he loses his balance and falls off the cliff. His friends are horrified, thinking he has fallen to his death. However, they soon hear his voice calling out to them and realize that he has landed in a crystal-clear, beautiful lake. He urges them to jump in and enjoy the water, and without hesitation, they all follow him. To their surprise, their bodies begin glowing underwater, each in a different color. Jason in red, Billy in blue, Kim in pink, Zach in black, and Trina in yellow. Billy dives deeper and notices something unusual. He calls his friends over and they decide to investigate. They are shocked to discover a strange, shimmering water barrier. As they approach it, they are suddenly pulled inside, finding themselves in a massive underwater cave. Amazed, they look around and realize that the water above them forms a ceiling rather than flooding the cave. This only fuels their excitement as they explore further. As they move forward, they stumble upon a massive alien spaceship. Jason notices that the stone in his hand starts glowing, and suddenly the spaceship's doors open before them. Overwhelmed by its incredible design and advanced technology, they step inside in awe. But their wonder quickly turns to fear as the walls of the spaceship begin to shift unexpectedly. Panic sets in, and they look for a place to hide. Suddenly, a small robot appears in front of them, startling them. Trina instinctively attacks it, but the robot easily pushes her back. Zack tries to defend her but meets the same fate. The robot then gathers them together and reassures them that it is not an enemy. It explains that it has been waiting for them for 65 million years. Introducing itself as Alpha, the robot tells them that it knows they are confused about everything that is happening. To help them understand, Alpha instructs them to stand in specific positions inside a highly advanced device called the Morphing Grid, which is located in the center of the ship. They follow its instructions, and suddenly a holographic projection of Gordon, the former leader of the Power Rangers, appears before them. Alpha is overjoyed to see Gordon again. Gordon explains that he was able to preserve a copy of his consciousness within the ship's matrix. He then speaks to Jason and his friends, revealing that the stones they possess are called Power Coins and that they have been chosen to become the new Power Rangers. He tells them that they have been granted extraordinary powers to protect Earth from Rita, who is seeking the ultimate power crystal hidden in the planet's core. If she obtains it, she will use its power to take control of the entire world. To prove his claims, Gordon shows them a vision of the future. In it, they see Rita attacking them, turning humans into stone statues and ultimately destroying everything. When they return to the present moment, Gordon warns them that Rita has already returned to life and is regaining her strength. She is also creating a monstrous creature named Golda to destroy Earth and claim the crystal. However, Jason and his friends refuse to believe Gordon and leave the ship. Just before Jason exits, Gordon stops him and tells him that he is the Red Ranger, the leader of the Power Rangers. It is his responsibility to convince his friends to stand against Rita and defeat her. Jason takes this to heart and speaks to his friends, reminding them that each of them is struggling with something in their lives. He tells them that this is their chance to do something great and change their lives for the better. He gives them time to think it over and tells them he will be waiting for them at the mountain the next day. Meanwhile, Rita has killed many people and is sitting in an abandoned place, holding a small piece of gold. A homeless man sees her and asks what she is doing. She tells him she is collecting gold to create the monster Golda. The man mocks her words and laughs at her, but she notices that his teeth are made of gold. She attacks him, kills him, and takes the gold. The next day, Jason stands on top of the mountain and is happy when he sees his friends arriving, convinced by his words and ready to begin their mission. They then go to Gordon, who tells them they need intense training to face Rita and protect the universe from her evil. Alpha takes them to a place called the Pit, where stone statues appear before them to simulate the monsters Rita uses in her wars. They start facing them, and over time, their combat skills significantly improve. However, they are still unable to morph into Power Rangers and wear the suits, and they haven't yet found the location of the energy crystal that Rita is searching for. Billy continues searching through maps and locates the crystal, discovering it is beneath a famous restaurant in the city. When Alpha learns this, he decides to reward them and celebrates with them. He then takes them to see giant robots, which represent different types of dinosaurs from the era they were made in. Gordon tells them that each of them will have their own robot to help in battle, but these robots will not respond to their commands until they morph into Power Rangers. Zack tries to control one of the robots but loses control, causing chaos in the city. He returns to the cave with difficulty, nearly hurting his friends, which angers Jason and leads to a fight between them. Billy intervenes to stop the conflict, and at that moment, Jason suddenly morphs into a Power Ranger and wears the energy armor, but it quickly disappears, and Billy is unable to retrieve it again. Gordon then tells them that the energy armor is inside each of them, and they must find a way to unlock it, or they won't be able to face Rita. Later, Gordon speaks with Alpha, expressing his disappointment, as he believes Jason and his friends have let him down and will not be able to defeat Rita. However, Jason overhears and assures him that he and his friends will save the planet and that he is ready to sacrifice his life for the mission. But Jason doesn't know that Rita has already reached the city. She breaks into a gold shop and eats all the gold, increasing her power. When a police officer tries to stop her by shooting, she is unaffected, attacks him, kills him instantly, and then blows up the shop before continuing on her path. Meanwhile, Jason meets with his friends, trying to strengthen their bond by talking about their personal lives and the problems they are facing. They begin to think about the reason they are unable to get the suits, but no one finds an answer, so they decide to go home. Later, while Trina is sleeping in her bed, she wakes up suddenly to find Rita standing in front of her. Rita tells her she knows she is the Yellow Ranger. Trina tries to resist, but fails, as Rita is much stronger than her. Rita grabs her and demands to know the location of the crystal. When Trina refuses to reveal its whereabouts, Rita gives her 1 day to tell her, threatening to destroy the entire city if she doesn't. Trina rushes to meet her friends and tells them what happened. They decide to confront Rita and stop her, even though they still haven't received their energy suits. But as soon as they arrive, Rita easily overpowers them, restrains them, and begins interrogating them. After learning the location of the energy crystal, she threatens to kill them one by one, starting with Billy. Billy is forced to reveal the location of the crystal, and Rita cuts the rope tying him, throwing him into the water to drown. She then releases the others and mocks them as she leaves, stating they are useless and will not be able to stop her. Billy's friends rush to save him from the water, but he has lost consciousness. They carry him to Gordon, where sadness fills the group as they fear for his life. Each of them wishes they could sacrifice themselves instead of him. Suddenly, something strange happens. Billy regains consciousness, and his friends rejoice. At that moment, the morphing grid in the center of the ship lights up, and Gordon tells them they have finally found the missing element: their love for each other and their fear for one another. He asks them to gather around the grid, and as they do, the 5 friends morph into Power Rangers and wear their energy suits. They rush out of the ship to catch up with Rita before she reaches the location of the energy crystal. At the same time, Rita arrives at a large gold mine and extracts gold to create her giant monster, Golda. The Power Rangers emerge from the water, only to find an army of rock monsters waiting for them. A fierce battle ensues, and they manage to defeat all the monsters, but soon realize the numbers are greater than expected. At that point, Zack calls upon his robot and launches a devastating attack on the rock monsters, destroying them all. The Power Rangers then head to the top of the mountain, where they see Rita and Golda heading towards the city. They summon their giant robots and charge to attack Golda. Rita sees them and summons more rock monsters, but the Power Rangers defeat them all, then attack Golda in an attempt to destroy him. However, Golda is strong, and he strikes them with powerful blows, knocking them to the ground. He traps Billy's robot under rocks. Kim rushes to save him, carrying him and flying with him before dropping him onto Golda. At that moment, Billy presses the power button on his robot, releasing a massive wave of energy that strikes Golda, knocking both him and Rita to the ground. The Power Rangers think they have defeated them, but are shocked when Golda rises again, helping Rita to get back on her feet. Rita then orders him to dig into the ground to extract the energy crystal, and Golda strikes the earth with tremendous force, creating a deep hole. The Power Rangers try to stop him, but Golda is stronger and begins pushing them towards the hole filled with lava. At that moment, the team realizes they are heading towards certain doom and surrenders, saying their goodbyes. Golda throws them into the hole and reaches for the crystal. Suddenly, a massive robot called Megaport emerges from the hole, revealing that the Power Rangers robots have merged to form this giant being. Rita is stunned upon seeing it, and she merges with Golda, and a fierce battle breaks out between them. However, Megazord manages to land powerful blows on Golda, forcing him to summon a giant sword to attack. But Megaport gains control of the situation, throws Golda to the ground, draws its sword, and drives it into Golda, defeating him once and for all. Rita emerges from Golda's body and stands before Megaport. Jason speaks to her, asking her to surrender and submit to Gordon's will. Rita angrily refuses and attacks Megaport, hoping to destroy it. However, Jason lands a powerful blow on her, sending her flying out of the planet, leaving her frozen in space. The Power Rangers celebrate their victory, and their joy increases when they see the citizens of the city cheering and thanking them. They return to their normal lives, proud of themselves, as they hear their families speak of the Power Rangers with pride and happiness. And so, the movie ends.